This season is certainly looking like a bit of a toss-up with 3 winners in the first 4 rounds. However, don't overlook Brennan Chatley. The Ford driver has been winless, but is also one of the only ones to have managed top 10 finishes in every round so far. Will speed eventually overtake consistency in the points? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Kansas Speedway brings the drivers back to a typical mile-and-a-half circuit this week. Let's learn a little bit more about this place by heading to our track guide.
Welcome to Kansas Speedway, located 20 minutes west of downtown Kansas City and on the Kansas side of the border. Kansas Speedway is a 1.5-mile D-shaped oval built by International Speedway Corporation and opened in 2001. Following a reconfiguration in the summer of 2012, Kansas Speedway saw its corners go from uniform 15-degree banking to the current progressive banking, starting at 17 degrees down by the white line and working up to 20 degrees near the wall. The change in banking paved way for far more side-by-side action across the board here. A wide track, there are varying philosophies to getting around Kansas. Some prefer the bottom of the track, which while shorter and quicker, can also lead to greater tire wear. Others like to ride around by the wall, using that extra bit of banking for a bigger run off the corner and to conserve tires. A problem spot here at Kansas can be the exit of Turn 4, where the car is prone to snapping loose if the driver has too much steering input on corner exit, and the apron can also be especially slippery, particularly just past the start-finish line. The NASCAR Cup Series races here at Kansas twice a year with accompanying races from the Affinity Series, the trucks, as well as ARCA. IndyCar held events here at Kansas from its opening in 2001 all the way through 2010, but has not been back since the repaint. Well, that's our look at Kansas Speedway. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, enjoy the show.
Well, Chris, for the first time, we come to a mile and a half after having quite a variety of circuits. So what can we expect here today?
Well, this track is one that was changed a bit with some of the latest updates to the iRacing service. So these drivers are in for a slightly different version of Kansas than what they've become accustomed to. Look for the bottom groove to be preferred through the corners here. And these guys are definitely going to get lulled into a false sense of security at the beginning of the tire run, when they have all that grip and they can go basically flat out. Once the tires fall off, the handle goes away fast. So these drivers are going to have to be very cognizant of how close they are to the edge.
Hopefully that won't mean too many spins. We'd like a nice green race today. And for that race, it is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
The PRL NASCAR Truck Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader, ready to compete against the financial markets. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. So for that championship, as we take a look at the points, I mentioned it, Brennan Chatley up at the top currently, 9 points ahead of Daniel Ferguson. Then Bradley Hawley, the first driver with a victory on this sheet that you see, sits in third, not too far away, and he's definitely looked quick today. Josh Conker is in fourth, about 3 points back from Brad, and they got a tie for fifth position. Richter and Sink, 18 behind our current points leader. What about the team's championship, Chris?
Well, on the strength of a pretty solid week 2 weeks ago when we raced last, that private label Team Hype finds themselves at the top of the charts over the Whataback Overdrive squad, just 16 points back, then 9 further back to the Car Ramrod team, and then just another 15 back to the Whataback Back Row Racing squad. So still those top 4 positions pretty well in play. West Coast Racing hanging back there in 5th with a 44-point gap to the other runners.
They got a ways to go to get up there, but not impossible. Now, for today's event, we have 85 laps that they have to run if they want the full distance today. And we're at the halfway mark as well. Round 5 here today. No spare trucks, so if you get some damage, you could find yourself spending some time trying to bang away at that sheet metal instead of popping in a fresh car. They have a fixed setup in this series, and there is a 24 incident hard limit that will disqualify you if you hit it. Right now, we've been watching the cars in the warm-up. They've been doing a lot of practice starts here, doing some pit parties out there to try to get used to that and get up to speed. You can see that the sun is setting quite beautifully. We've recently had the lights come on this evening, so it's getting to be a cooler and cooler track as Doug Evans continues to lead the timing sheets here this evening in the warm-up, at least, Chris. Now, you talked about that bottom line favor. Now, we did get to watch the iRacing Pro Series, the top level guys race here just earlier this week, and it tended to seem to encourage side-by-side racing. They seem to handle it okay.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, as we're seeing on the screen right now, these guys are able to race side by side once the track gets rubbered in, but definitely were some challenges with a fresh track trying to get that outside line to work, but it seems to be coming in pretty well. So hopefully once that carries over into qualifying in the race, we'll have a pretty good side by side action tonight.
Now, thankfully, compared to what we saw at the PRL NASCAR Cup Series in the last 2 rounds, we only have a single EOL penalty this evening, and that is John LaBaff. But I do not see him here yet, so if he doesn't show up, he's going to find that carried over to the next round at Darlington, which is a tough one to pass at. So I certainly wouldn't want to be in his shoes if he doesn't show up here for round 5. This is Colton Lane that we're on board with, currently 3rd on the timing sheets, and the times have looked incredibly tight through the top of the field here today, Chris.
Yeah, and with that tight championship we have towards the top 2, I mean, all of these positions are going to matter once we get to race time, and there's points on the line for qualifying too. So with everybody that close together, I mean, it could make for not just an interesting qualifying session, but an interesting race as well.
Brendan Chatley's actually down 14th in the timing currently, but we're kind of used to that. He typically uses race strategy to push his way forward in the race itself. So continue to watch from the driver's perspective there with Colton Lane wheeling this thing around Kansas Speedway, one of the newer-ish tracks here in American stock car racing. Part of that boom that you saw in the 90s up into the early 2000s, with a lot of mile-and-a-half tracks crop up around the country. So certainly seems to be taking to it well. We've got just a couple minutes left, actually less than 2 minutes to go before we head off to that qualifying session. Something else to keep in mind here as well that we didn't mention in the race details. Chris, they've only got those 4 sets of tires. Now, that's the same as it is every week, but do you think that'll affect things this week, especially if we do get some cautions in awkward places?
Well, definitely the strategy could change as the cautions fall, but this is a series that's known for not having a lot of cautions. So it's something that you can't bank on like you can with some of the other series that we have on the iRacing service here every week. So tire management's going to be a big deal, as well as finding the right time to pit under green flag conditions, which has been the likely case lately.
We'll keep an eye out on that, see if anybody's savvy enough in there. And we're getting a note that the fact that we don't have Austin Hunter out here today is apparently... Oh, wait, no, we do hear he is here. Oh, no, he is here. So he is back from back surgery, actually, it sounds like. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So this is his first night to return there in the 312.
Well, on the plus side, it was back surgery and not front surgery. So he can at least sit in the chair and be able to compete here tonight.
I hope it's a comfy chair, honestly. Sim racing, not exactly the most ergonomic of sports, but as we now head on over to the qualifying session, let's see who has got the quickest over 1 lap pace. They only get 2 laps to get a fast one in here, so they certainly will have to get those things wound up and flying in a hurry.
And with going into the twilight here, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see some people wait towards later in the session, wait till it gets maybe as dark as possible to keep that track cool and keep the speeds up.
That's a good point. We've got 30-second laps with 5 minutes, so they could wait as long as about a minute and a half to go and get both laps in, just barely at least, as we currently have, I see Adam Young out there and Patrick Cowgill, Doug Evans, who is on screen in the 41. Looks like he might be one of our first drivers to set a time, along with Daniel Knight in the 17. So, yeah, I think you might be right. I'm seeing a whole lot of drivers that have yet to even set foot on the track.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of lap times we get out of Doug Evans here, though. One of the first ones to hop on the track, and he was very quick in practice.
Yeah, and that happened late in the practice session, too. Knight with a 31.2, Doug Evans with a 31.6. So he's a little slow on that first lap compared to some of our other drivers. We're going to watch Daniel Knight this time in the 17, riding on board as he comes up to turn 3. He's going to take that low line, shortest around the track, carry the speed as he drifts it off of 4. Let's see if he can go quicker than that 31.260. He still holds the provisional pole all the way down onto the flat. No, with 31.260, he ties his previous time down to the thousands, and Doug Evans does go faster.
I watched Doug on his first flying lap, and he was running up towards the wall on the first lap, and apparently that did something for him when he moved to the bottom on the second lap, because he is top of the charts.
Using that sort of Talladega strategy there as we now watch Conker, who just got bumped down to 9th as a few more drivers put one down. The 54 had his first lap at a 31.595. And he does not drift off that corner at all. In fact, he stays incredibly low off the turn. Will that hurt him? No, a 31.158, a significant jump up onto the front row.
Yeah, while we were watching that lap, Elliott White did end up going fastest with a 31.137. So he's top of the charts now as Abner Acosta comes around for his first lap time.
A 31.6. He was pretty good in the warm-up. For a long while, he was actually second behind Bradley Hawley, but then got shuffled farther down in the latter stages of things. Hawley is out on track himself. So as Abner Acosta comes around 3 and 4. 31.661 was his first lap. Let's see if it's going to be similar to what we saw with Evans. Down into the line. 31.206. Definitely quicker, up to 4th. Elliott White still our pole sitter.
Looks like a 31.4 for Adam Shane there. Not a terrible lap by any stretch.
All right, Bradley Hawley's coming across for his first flyer. 31.630, which is pretty close to what we saw from Acosta. It does seem like many drivers are trying to use that similar strategy of getting the car kind of wound up on the outside on the first lap as we now hop on board with the Whataback overdrive car. And that 184 truck is picking up pace down the back stretch, trying to see if he can claim another couple bonus points with that pole position. Does he drift up or is he going to hug low? He's also going to hug low as he streams across the line. It is a 31.177. Very good lap. Good enough for 3rd.
We saw the driver cam there of Bradley Hawley, and that guy always looks so serious when he's driving.
Yeah, definitely an intense look. And Mike Richter with his second lap, a 31.3. That'll promote him to 17th. This is Adam Zemke on his final flyer. And it is a 31.447. It'll only take him up to 21st, a little down the order for that 57 car. Looks like nobody else has time to try and complete a lap. So that means our qualifying is over and our grid is set. We'll bring that up here in just a moment while the session completes. And it ticks over now. So that means it's time to go through how our starting order will unfold. And it's going to be Elliott White on the pole position with Josh Conker next to him. Bradley Hawley starts in P3 with Doug Evans starting fourth and Abner Acosta in P5 and the truck number 5. Daniel Ferguson starts 6th and Daniel Knight starts 7th. To his outside, it's going to be Patrick Cowgill. Thomas Sink is on the inside of row 5 and Charles Sumner starts 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 is our points leader, Brendan Chatley, starting 11th with Brett Adams next to him. Mark Kalin and Adam Shane will make up row number 7 with Austin Hunter 15th. Then Jim Westerfield coming to the grid in the 16th position. Row number 9 is going to be Blaine Adams and Mike Richter, with Jose Medina and Dominic Beijing rounding out your top 20 starters.
21st goes to Dalton Geyer and Adam Zimke in 22nd. Nick Schwartz starts P23. To his outside, it's going to be Stacy Hunter. Adam Young puts it in 25th, and Nick Hunter starts from 26th. Last driver to put a time down was Colton Lane in 27th, and it's Baron Hilton, Brett Accord, and Matt Kulhanek starting from the back of our 30 truck field here today. It looks like we just about have everybody lined up on the grid and ready to go. Just need 2 or 3 more, and then we'll take off for a single pace lap and be running for what is hopefully an 85 lap here race for round 5.
You know, I saw the grandstands here spell out the fact that you're at Kansas Speedway. I always like when racetracks do things like that. Like, my favorite is we were at Talladega recently, and you know, you see the giant sign that says "This is Talladega." Just in case you forgot, it's right there on the, you know, this is where I'm at. Okay, cool.
To be fair, someone could be tuning in on the TV, and that could be very helpful. So,
where they racing today? This is Kansas Speedway. Got it.
Okay. Well, the track is helping the audience understand what track it is. Let's help the audience take a look at our drivers as well. I believe we've got Patrick Cowgill in there today. There you see him on screen. Another good face cam for him. And we already saw a little bit of Bradley Hawley, who seems to be wearing something of a lucky shirt that has showed up a couple of times already. And after him, we've got Austin Hunter, who is coming back after a little bit of surgery there. You also have our championship leader, Brandon Chatley, there with his traditional poster behind him. And finally, Daniel Ferguson rounds out our 5 drivers, that we've got out here with onboard cams today. Elliott White is going to have control of the field in that number 27. They're already coming around turn 3, getting ready to go. Let's see if he can get a good jump over those behind him, if that 1 lap pace is going to match his race pace. The iRacing pace truck pops in. White waits for it. He's going to long wait for it, actually. And green flag is out. He's got to go now. 27 does not stretch away from Josh Conker, who is outside by any stretch of the imagination. It was a long wait, and already he's got Bradley Hawley, the multi-time champion, right on his rear spoiler.
Yeah, it's one of those moves where you try to wait and catch everybody out as much as possible, but in this instance, it unfortunately didn't work out the way Elliott White wanted, but he is still out in front, so things could have definitely gone worse.
Josh Conker falls back to 3rd, but he's got Acosta to his inside, fighting for that position. Up and off of turn 4. A few of them drifting quite high there, flirting with that outside wall. But so far, so good on our first few laps. Looks like we're only having 29 starters, as Brett Accord, for some reason, did not grid up.
You know, Elliott White has proven to be a very smart racer in his time here at the PRL Truck Series this season. 1 win to his credit, Joe, and he is definitely somebody that I think could be a contender today. But Bradley Hawley not leaving any doubt as he tries to march to the championship here and already making a pass for the lead.
Yeah, let's not forget that Elliott White, with his 9th place in the points, is partly there because he missed the first round. Holly gets underneath and is going to take the lead away, as there's quite a bit of side-by-side racing through the field. In fact, pretty much 4th all the way down. You've got a whole bunch of cars side-by-side until you get to around 20th or so.
Yeah, a couple of those private label team hype drivers right there in 3rd and 4th between Conquer and Acosta, leading the team points this season and definitely looking to keep that going.
White tries to attack back, getting underneath the 184. Shallow line, is it going to work this time? Doesn't look like it. Pulling ahead with that extra banking slightly higher up the hill. Bradley Holly back into the lead. Josh Conquer rather, has solidified his 3rd place. And in fact, Abner Acosta lost another one in that exchange. Daniel Ferguson moves into 4th recently.
You know, this strategy really seems kind of antithetical to how Holly usually runs. Usually he's the guy that'll sit there in 2nd spot in the opening stages of the race and just kind of pace himself. But maybe he's trying to make a statement here, getting out front early and just reminding people that he's here and he is definitely still a threat for that championship.
Danny Ferguson with his onboard there in your bottom right as he rides underneath Josh Conquer and just behind Elliott White. Make sure not to drift up high, gives plenty of space. This time Holly takes the lead across the start-finish line, leading lap number 6. Elliott White still chasing. He's going to move up to the high side this time. Last time the low side didn't work quite as much. Gives him a great shot off the corner. Going to give a little bit of a bump to that 184.
And you see Daniel Ferguson lurking back there and Josh Conquer as well in that picture. I mean, there's a couple guys that are very hungry in this series, looking to capitalize and make it to victory lane, lurking there in 3rd and 4th. And they are not letting your top 2 drivers get very far away.
Looks like it might be settling down a little bit now with those top 5, although they fan out around turns 1 and 2. Behind them, Kalen and Knight are still battling side by side, but Kalen seems to be struggling in that dark green machine. And in fact, to his high side, Patrick Cowgill had a good run, ran out of steam. Now he's going to try and shoot off the high banking once again, coming off of 4.
Yeah, it looks like Patrick, one of those drivers that's able to make pretty good usage of that outside line right now.
Rides high, wide, and handsome. Almost going 3 wide here, as they've got Daniel Knight between them temporarily. Oh, did he brush the wall? Backing out of it, the 31, suddenly losing positions. Thomas Sink going to get underneath him, but that looked like something of a hairy moment.
Yeah, even if he didn't have to, even if he didn't make contact with the wall, he still probably had to get out of the throttle, and that's going to kill his momentum. And in these trucks and the way the engines are geared, it takes a couple laps to get back up to speed. So look for that 31 truck to be struggling here for a minute or two while he tries to rebound from that moment that he had.
He had a brief attack from the 98 of Sumner. Sumner couldn't make that one stick, and now he's side by side with Bajin. Watching from onboard Sink, looking back at all 3 of them. And up onto the main straight. We got 2x2 for 9th place here in the mid-pack.
That's a nice little gaggle of trucks we have there, Joe.
Absolutely. So this fight continues while the front has settled down at least a little bit. They do have a blinking car up there. I'm trying to figure out who that is. I think that's Abner Acosta there, who is having some connection issues. We're on board with Brett Adams, though, now sitting in 12th place.
That beautiful look at the tailgate on the Tropicana machine, in case you were thirsty.
Actually, I'm a little bit thirsty in here right now. I'm running out of my water as we continue to ride on board there. Now we pop back off, and the drivers have been settled in at this stage. Who dares to try and push the issue Maybe try and move forward 3 wide. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving as a slight nudge sends Cowgill up the hill. And that's in front of Dominic Begin, who thankfully doesn't have to take evasive action. It's been an exciting few laps for the 31.
Yeah, I don't know if Patrick would have that same same mindset. He'd probably have a few more choice words to throw out there for that one, but Cowgill having some struggles, not really of his own doing though. He's getting roughed up out there. You see the side of his 31 truck all scraped up.
If you're in whoa, we had a moment there. We saw some smoke. That was the 54 of Josh Conker. That's causing a 3 wide behind him. And in the middle of that is Daniel Knight in the 17. Abner Acosta on the bottom side as they send it through 3 and 4. That middle line working a treat for Daniel Knight. Is he going to be fully clear? It looks like he's got it.
Yeah, that one little moment by Josh Conker there, and that really just bottlenecked everyone and killed his momentum. Worked out great for Daniel Knight, though, who's been fairly quiet this season, Joe. So good to see Daniel Knight up there in the mix today.
Yeah, if we pop this back about 50 seconds to a replay, we can see it. What was frankly a pretty good save from the 54 to keep that from spinning around. Let's take a look. Gonna get a bumper put to him. Whoa, just drifts it down and then casually catches it at a whole 170 miles an hour and continues on in 5th place. Although it looks like Acosta might fall to that spot as he's on the inside with less speed there.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit of an oopsie on the 676 of Daniel Ferguson. Definitely not what he wanted.
I think Kalen just smacked the outside wall coming out of 4. I don't think he lost too much speed. Let's take a look at it. On board with the 62. He was already riding high. Oh, the truck looks like it just started to slide there, Chris.
Yeah, turn 4 is notorious for that here. Once you start to transition towards the tri-oval front stretch, it will definitely push you around a little bit as you transition around.
So, yeah, a little scrape on there, but otherwise doesn't seem to have slowed him all that drastically.
Well, thankfully he seems to know a body shop, so they should be able to help him out.
That'll buff out. Meanwhile, looking at our leaders, it is still Holly ahead of White with Knight running in 3rd. Knight having to fight his way up onto that podium position, but the top 2 have been trading that at the start of the race and then just kind of cruising since about lap 8 or so. Basically putting in the time, waiting for the race to come to them. They've got clear track essentially in front of them. No need to really risk much at this stage.
You know, I'm really interested to see everybody running right up against the wall, Joe. Everything I've seen this past week has really indicated it was going to be more of a bottom feeder race.
It certainly looks like you can basically pick a line and go for it, and it's going to be viable. It's all in how you race it. Got a little close there coming into turn 4 between Knight and White as he almost got into the back of it. Once again, he closes in a lot. Different racing lines on the corner entries between P2 and P3.
Yeah, I mean, you look further back and there's a lot of different interpretations on what's going to be fast here.
Ooh, and just ducked it to the inside as you can see them along with this fight between Adams and Conker. That's Brett Adams in the 23 on the low side. Conker going to try and keep that momentum up. Pass did not work out for Daniel Knight. He slots back in line behind White.
You know, Brett Adams has looked really fast today, Joe. Started back in the 12th position, already worked his way up to 6th, and he has been right there in the mix all race so far. Truck looks really sporty, and he could be somebody that we hear from by the time this race is over.
Still racing side by side. There on the bottom side is Brett Adams and Abner Costa continue their tussle. That's Ferguson and Conker behind them. Lap 21 out of 85, getting very close to the first quarter, already disappearing for our drivers.
That's one thing these PRL truck races will do. These guys race so well together and so few cautions that we end up seeing that we're, like you said, a pretty good distance into this race, and it doesn't even feel like it because they've just been clicking off laps racing each other.
And this front group seems to be peeling away from those behind them. When you get back to Charles Sumner in 10th, there's a gap back to Brendan Chatley. Not what the 59, our championship points leader, really wants. I have to imagine he might want to try and close that up. Oh, and we got a spin or something there. What was that?
Yeah, it looks like it was the 17 at night. Somebody entangled with somebody else.
The 23, I think. Yeah, I think if we get the replay here, the 23 gets in tonight, and the two of them do a fantastic job once again to keep the cars from wrecking.
Yeah, I caught it just on just out of the corner of my eye, Joe, and before they disappeared off of my screen, I really thought they were both going around.
Yeah, we had transitioned to another angle just as it happened. Look at that. Both of them don't even turn the trucks around. They just keep it pointed forward and keep the foot on the floor.
That's an amazing save by both of those drivers. By all rights, that definitely should have been a spin.
Well, that changes the complexion of our leaders a little bit. Holly still leads white. Acosta is now into third. Daniel Ferguson finds himself bumped up to fourth. And Conker, with a bit of a gap now, is in P5. He's got to make up about half a second. I'm sure he had to check up a bit watching that unfold in front of him.
Looks like Brendan Chatley might be able to capitalize a little bit. It's definitely going to bring that front group back to him a little bit.
Yeah, he gained a few spots and is now up to 8th. He's still at the front of his pack, which obviously has gained a couple. Both Knight and the 23 of Adams in that mix that you can see here briefly out of the over the rear deck lid of this truck.
Would that be like a tonneau cover on a race truck?
Have to imagine this might be slightly higher technology. So Richter still fighting with Sumner there, and the 51 and the 98 behind that battle that you saw there between Ferguson and Chatley. Looks like Ferguson's going to slot into line. So is Sumner, giving it up, falling into 10th. A different Adams. Blaine is back there, and he is sizing up Daniel Knight. I almost wonder if Daniel maybe got a little bit of damage from that, because he hasn't exactly been charging his way back forward.
I can't say that would surprise me. I mean, it was a pretty good check in the door that got him almost spinning. So, I mean, he obviously took a pretty good hit on at least one side. He may have made contact with the wall on the outside as well. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he had some body damage there that was slowing him down.
Halfway mark would be between laps 42 and 43 in this race. Haven't seen anybody take any scheduled stops here. In fact, there's only been one driver down pit lane. That's Nick Hunter, I think, to get some damage of his own repaired that we must not have seen. We haven't had a single caution yet. And Daniel Knight, is it just me, or is he not revving full tilt?
Can't tell. I mean, looking at the dash there, I mean, it looks like he's pretty well into it.
Oh, excuse me. No, it's Nick Hunter that we're hearing had some engine damage. So that's the one that was in pit lane. So thank goodness Daniel Knight not down on power. Although looks like he's certainly up on position as he goes by Brett Adam into 11th. Maybe taking a look at Richter. No, backs out of it.
Good thing we're not doing the old school style line scoring for these guys. The number on the door of the 17 is completely scrubbed off.
It doesn't get scored for a whole 60 laps, essentially, as they come around yet again. that front group, that front trio is really gapped everybody behind them. Hawley, White, and Acosta dropping Josh Conker now by 3/4 of a second. And then from there, they get pretty spaced out. Sink to Bajin is about a second between them. Same thing from Chatley to Dominic. So the cream is rising to the top, as they say. And the faster guys are really showing not just how to be quick over a single lap, like I mentioned before. It seems like the race pace of this top group is quite good.
You know what's funny is watching these guys, Elliott White and Abner Acosta, both are like taking turns on different ends of the track, running the bottom and the top. Like turns 1 and 2, Elliott will drop to the bottom, and then 3 and 4, Abner will give it a shot. And looks like it's working for Abner right now because he's actually pulling up alongside the 27.
Wheel to wheel between the pair of them. Off the corner, I expect the 27 to pull ahead, and yes, indeed, he's got more momentum. See if Acosta tries a different line, or does he continue to go low? No, he's going to keep trying to hug that white line down at the bottom of the banking. Drift off, and once again, it's not giving him the shot that he quite wants, but it's not dire yet. Could make the difference when we get to those pit stops. I have to assume once we get to about halfway, we might see a few drivers considering it.
Yeah, we got to be closing in on it soon. I mean, between tire wear and everything, it's got to be getting to that point where drivers are hoping for maybe some fresh rubber and another shot at it.
Still riding that low line. It's not hurting him, to be fair. At least it doesn't seem to be. That could change later if he rubs off those tires a little bit more than Elliott, but so far, I guess if it's not bothering the way you're driving, then just keep at it, because it's at least keeping you in touch with those top two. Ooh, we got a lot going on down here in 15th. Ducking way low. Jose Medina managing to get by Blaine Adams. That's Jim Westerfield down there at the very bottom, and then behind them, Adam Shane in the number 65. Coming off the corner, they go back to single file.
Yeah, a lot of dancing and darting around the track there. Everybody trying to find the right position. And now we see Westerfield moving to the inside of the 24 of Medina.
Doesn't look like he's got the grip, though. Truck's going to drop back. Thought for sure Shane looked a little stronger there, coming on the low side. You see the 4 cars involved. Make that 5. Brett Adams must have gotten some damage from that incident. He really is falling behind.
He moved up a lot of positions really early. I'm wondering if maybe he just burned things up, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he had some damage either. He shoulder checked the 17 pretty hard there when they both almost spun. Yeah, you can see the right side tires almost out further than the fender.
He did qualify in 12th. He's down to 13th, might be 14th here in a moment. And so, yeah, this might simply be where his pace naturally would have put him. To his low side, Jose Medina trying to fend him off. Looks like Nick Hunter's going to come in yet again to try and hack away at that engine to see if he can get it working correctly.
Ooh, Joe, the 27 of Elliott White just got up into the wall, and he is going to give up quite a few positions.
Let's take a look at this. I think this was an unforced error. Here it is. Oof.
Yeah, it just eased up into the wall there, and unfortunately it sucked him right in, and he's going to give up, quite a few spots. He's all the way back in 5th right now.
Yeah, lost 3 that time. Acosta now up to 2nd with his old rival, Bradley Hawley, in front of him. Wasted no time closing that gap. Josh Conker seems to have gained a bit from that incident as well, as he's got it down to about half a second up to the number 5, and he's towing along Thomas Sink in the number 48 on top of things. And
Thomas, a driver we really haven't talked about at all today, Joe. He's had a very quiet race so far in the first half, and now finds himself up there inside the top 4 runners.
Right on board with him, looking over his dash as he comes off of turn 4. He's about a second off of our leader in the race overall currently. And in about 2.5 laps time, we are at the halfway marker for today's event, still without a single caution. There's our leaders on screen, and yes, it has closed down now. Acosta, of course, we talked about him pulling up to the back of Holly, but Conquer is now firmly on the tailgate of the number 5, and Thomas Sink equidistant back from him.
You know, these top few trucks all race have been very close together, and they've challenged each other a little bit, but none of them have really pushed the issue. It's been pretty settled up there.
Yeah, I think this is all a wily group of drivers. And I think I just heard that the 31 plans to pit. That's Cowgill. This would be that halfway mark. So he seems to think it's going to stay green here. And going to try for the undercut. Getting it woed up here down to the cones. And he's good. Let's watch and see if he resets anything on the truck.
Also looks like Brendan Chatley headed down pit road as well, Joe.
Ah, you're right. I'm not too surprised at that. Brendan tends to like those counter strategies to get himself in the mix. And if nobody else pitting at this time means he could do something different, then of course he's going to take it. Yeah, it looks like he's fiddling away a little bit with some of his controls. Oh, and we got a pass for the lead. Acosta around the outside of Bradley Holly, and he makes it stick. This took a full lap to make work, but it worked.
Yeah, it was quite a move by Abner just to get around the 184. Did not honestly see it coming, but you see he's got a really good run on the top side.
Yeah, it's going to come down into 3. It starts here as he runs the bottom. And then a classic moment of the over-under as he can't quite do it off the corner completely because Holly is going to come right back underneath and try and take it back. But the 5 says, this is where I know the top line is better, and I'm going to take this one home.
And definitely an unexpected point for the fight for the lead to kick off, but nonetheless, we have ourselves a new leader.
And Elliott White has pit. Wonder if that was because of a little bit of the damage that he got. Looks like Bajin is in. That's him right there coming down, finding his stall, and he hits his marks. Right now, Elliott White is our highest pitter, ahead of Chatley by about 3 seconds. I think they're going to be able to easily go by Bajin. Bajin is rolling.
Looks like Josh Conquer heading pit side, so one of our top 3 runners early on in this event is now giving it a shot.
So White is out and Bajin follows him by a few seconds. Can Conquer try and challenge White potentially? Taking all 4 tires. Hearing more and more drivers announce that they're coming in. Blaine Adams amongst them. Looks like Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink also there.
And conspicuous by his absence, Abner Acosta stays out.
So Elliott White coming around, Conquer down low. He doesn't have the speed. Elliott White is going to shoot past. Fresh tires seem to do a truck good today, and he is going to leapfrog one of his rivals. So what will this mean for Abner Acosta? He's our last to pit. He's heading down now. He's obviously going to get jumped by a few here, Chris, but do you think this will pay dividends later if we stay green and him having fresher tires?
He'll have the grip, but I'm worried about the amount of positions he's going to lose on pit road.
You see him on screen. hits his marks. Brights go up. Elliott White out there. Wonder if he's actually going to take the lead because Hawley falls behind him. In fact, falls behind Conker. White's looking like his early call to come in is paying off at this stage, but will the truck hold on? Here goes Acosta, and there goes White.
Yeah, I didn't think tires were going to make that big of a difference as far as an undercut goes, Joe, but it has definitely happened in this case.
Well, we also didn't know if we would get to go green quite this long. Nearly 50 laps into it, Acosta falls back to 6th after being in the lead at the start of that pit sequence. However, he has everywhere from 2 to 6 lap fresher tires to those in front of him.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's enough track position he can gain back to really have that pay off for him. Looks like he's already gotten past Ferguson, so he's back up into the top 5, and we still have quite a few laps left.
Now this is White that we've hopped on board with now, and now we're looking at Abner Acosta. He does go by Brennan Shatley. 7 laps difference, 6 laps difference between those two on tire age. Then he's got to chase down Josh Conker. 2 laps difference between them. A little bit of a fight for second position. Bradley Hawley and Josh Conker basically going for best of the rest here today, as Elliott White has jumped them, but are we going to see Abner Acosta starting to join the fun?
That would not surprise me one bit. Abner has been bad fast all day, and he has a lap to 2 laps over the field in front of him, so he is definitely on the more advantageous tire strategy, but does he have enough time to get up there and get around everybody?
That's the million-dollar question. Last lap for him, a 31.5. Conker, a 31.7. So that's good, but then Conker crosses 31.6. Acosta, 31.6. Matches him almost exactly. Just 100th between them.
It's definitely not what Abner wants. In an ideal world for him, he'd be fast enough that he wouldn't have to worry about burning up his equipment trying to run down the trucks in front of him. As you see now, battle with Thomas Sink, Dominic Beijing, and Brendan Shatley. Shatley looks like he's going to come out, at least so far, comes out ahead as far as taking that early pit stop, Joe.
Yeah, he gained 2 spots in it because he's up to 6th. But he's under attack. That's Sink to the bottom, Beijing behind him. When this is going to get tight, almost 4 wide down the backstretch going past the car of Daniel Ferguson. Did he brush the wall? That wasn't a lap truck. Yeah, he was up into the wall ahead of them.
I was going to say something had to happen because Ferguson, Shatley makes contact, and that's going to draw the caution.
This is bad news for Shatley. Sumner gets caught up in it as well. Unfortunately, poor Sumner basically picked the wrong spot. There's Shatley getting involved. Going to have significant damage on the front of that truck. And then the 98 kind of just was trying to decide to go to the low side, I think, here, Chris. And unfortunately, that gap disappeared.
It's always unfortunate. You make your best estimation on where you think they're going to go, and unfortunately did not estimate right there for the 98.
Oh, no, and bad news for Charles Sumner. His engine is blown. There you see, trailing dark smoke from the tailgate. He's going to absolutely come in and have to get the engine repaired if he wants to continue on in today's event. No two ways about it. So, our first caution of the night, we're on lap 55, and Bradley Hawley leads Elliott White, who is ahead of Josh Conker on that final step on the podium. Not too shocking, Chris, since they are 3 that have been hovering around the front pretty much since the start.
Yeah, and everybody looks like they're heading down pit road.
I kind of expected this. They've only used up one of those 4 sets. And I heard them talking about a speeding penalty. I'm not sure who it was for. Try and get some information on that in a bit. But yeah, 4 sets. They start with 1. Oh, and I definitely saw Josh Conker have to back into his pit stall. Overshot it just a bit. Is this going to cost him some spots as we wait for them all to finish their 4 tires and get rolling? Holly's out first. Acosta second. Sink comes out after that. But Stacy Hunter stayed out in the 71, so he will inherit the lead. 13 laps on those tires. This could go either way, Chris. I couldn't tell you if that 71 is going to drop like a rock or if it'll actually be fairly difficult for drivers to overtake if he's got considerably close pace. Oh, never mind. He's going to pit in. Here we go.
Well, that answers that.
Yeah. Thank you, Stacy, for answering our question promptly. But takes away a little bit of the drama. Of course, I'm sure Acosta, St. Conker, they are very happy to see him take off into pit lane so that they don't have someone extra involved in all of this.
Now, was Bradley Holly the speeding penalty that we heard? It looks like he's letting everybody by.
I think it was, actually. Yeah.
Wow. That is definitely an uncharacteristic error from him.
Yeah, he was the one that was talking about it. And I thought that I heard him say, I can't believe I got a speeding penalty from that. But it just seemed, I mean, it's a caution flag. Why would you have a speeding penalty heading into pit lane under yellow?
Well, I guess it would make sense if anybody was going to get it. It would have been him. He was the only one that wasn't directly behind somebody as they went on to pit road. So if anybody was going to get it, it was going to be him. But that is a definitely out of character mistake for the 184.
I was going to say, that was a sleeping on the details issue there, I think. Bradley Holly might find himself cost a number of points because we're going to be restarting with less than 30 laps to go. Oh, and we got another one in. That's Nick Hunter. That's just getting repairs, so he's getting out of the way of everybody. And I think we're getting lights out this time. But let's see. So where are our championship competitors? Ferguson, who is second in the points, sits in 5th. We saw what happened to Holly now, given an EOL. Josh Conker, 4th in the points. He rides in P3 on track. Where's Mike Richter? Richter's in 7th. Acosta leading the race now that we had that penalty for Bradley Holly.
Brendan Chatley hanging out in 15th right now, Joe, but you got to wonder how much damage he took in that caution.
Let's get a close-up on him before we go back green here. Let's see if we can suss it out. With the 59 after hitting another car and bringing out that last caution. There he is. Looks like a little on the right front, I'm seeing.
Definitely thought it would be worse. I mean, it's probably not going to do him any favors by any means, but the amount of contact they had, I really expected it to be worse. Yeah,
I definitely thought that he would have a little bit more going on, but we haven't seen him at race pace yet, so this will give us a good idea as the pace truck is in, and Acosta, unlike previous starters, is not waiting. He jumps it big time, and Josh Conker, though, was not resting on his laurels. He stays right with that number 5.
These are a couple really hungry drivers to get to victory lane that are running up front right now.
He's going to give him a little bit of a push off the corner, try to get both of them up to speed. That truck that you see pop into the low side, that's Jim Westerfield, actually, on Daniel Ferguson. That's for 5th place. And coming around to lead the first lap back is Abner Acosta. We got another caution, though. Looks like a wreck out of turn 4. And that is Daniel Knight, unfortunately involved in another, along with Matthew Kulhanek in the 89.
That's tough for the 17. He was looking really sporty early on in this one, Joe, but unfortunately it seems like his night has just gone from bad to worse.
He just looked like he lost it on his own. Yeah, Kulhanek in the 89 just basically got loose. I didn't consider the idea of cold tires on that restart, but almost looked like it.
Yeah, it looks like it caught Kulhanek out. I mean, that's definitely a spot where the truck likes to break loose. And with cold tires and maybe not expecting it after such a long green run, looks like it definitely caught him out.
Well, barely got a lap and some change in under green, and we immediately go back under yellow here for the 5th round of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. And our lucky dog for this one, I think, is going to be, oh, here we go, Austin Hunter. That'll be some relief for the 312 as he gets back on the lead lap with that one.
Yeah,
Definitely
Hunter,
showing some battle scars, though.
Yeah, Hunter definitely picked a fun race to come back to after back surgery. That truck looks like it's been beat around a little bit, so hopefully he's not feeling too rough.
I do like these headphones, though. That's pretty snazzy. The multicolor headphones, kind of gently changing tones there on his ears.
We need to get like mood headphones. Like when somebody wrecks
your
you, they
temperature?
turn red.
Yeah, measures your heart rate. Okay, there's a challenge for our tech heads out there, because they have smartwatches that measure all your vitals, right? I bet you could do that.
I mean, if my keyboard can flash yellow when we get a caution, then we can definitely just poke into people's brains like that with headphones.
Okay, to all the tech nerds out there, there's your challenge. Make us some sort of gear that can follow your heart rate and changes colors with it. That would be honestly, I think that would be very cool on the broadcast, because if we knew what colors correlated with what heart rate, we could kind of know exactly what they've got.
Yeah, except for Bradley Holly, I feel like his would just be blue.
Ice in his veins.
The way he always looks so stoic on camera.
Well, where is he now? Remember, he got sent to the back. He's 20th after that restart, so didn't get a whole lot of time to gain positions. Still got a long row to hoe. The 184 has got time, but he's going to have to really hustle.
Yeah, I'm sure he's the one driver that's probably wanting to get up there and tell that pace truck to speed it up a little bit so we can get racing sooner.
I tell you what, hard charger today, though, Adam Zemke, the 57 who qualified in 22nd, is up to 4th. And I don't think, I'm pretty certain he has not pulled any kind of crazy pit strategy here. I mean, I think he may have been one of our slightly early pitters, but nothing that was too out of the ordinary.
I was looking at that when we showed the plus and minus on the leaderboard there. Yeah, that's quite a march. And I mean, look at Mike Richter up there. He started 18th. Jim Westerfield started 16th, and I mean, Adam Young was 25th. He's running up in the top 10. I mean, that last pit cycle and all the issues these guys towards the front have had, it's really shook things up.
Yeah, Elliott White down in 21st, and Bradley Holly and 20th. This is bad news for them. Great news for the likes of Acosta, Conker, Sink. I have to imagine that Chatley is happy that at least will mitigate how much he'll lose on this. But again, still a lot of racing left to go. Going to be about 23 laps left when we come back to green. And Abner Acosta will once again have control of the field. The pace truck exits out of turn 4. getting ready to duck into pit lane. Can Conquer repeat that feat of the good start and holding onto the tail of the number 5? He does it. Great start for Conquer as Acosta below him accelerates away. He's not going to be able to stay side by side, but he immediately pulls in beneath him.
Yeah, they're playing these restarts pretty smart. Unfortunately, not able to get the breakaway that he wants, but he has been able to have the 54 cleared. But now Conquer taking a look to the inside.
Sends it in down into turn 3. Is this one going to stick as they still get up to speed here today? Coming off the corner. He doesn't get fully past, but he also doesn't drop back on that exit. It's looking good for Josh Conquer.
You know, if there was a time for that move to work, it would probably be this point in the race, when the 5 truck hasn't been able to get wound back up after the caution, and he's inching ahead as they go down the back straightaway right now, Joe.
Absolutely. We're watching from onboard Ferguson, who's got a great view of things down to the inside, sync to his outside as they go side by side for first through 4th here at Kansas Speedway. Down to 21 laps to go. Acosta starts to drop back, and now Daniel Ferguson spies a chance to maybe slip into second.
He definitely didn't hesitate to show him the nose as Abner dives to the bottom of the track to get back to the inside of Conquer for the lead. He had a heck of a drive off into the corner there.
It worked for the 54. Can it work for the 5? I'd say he might be fully in front now at this stage, but Josh Conquer might try to fight back. No, he's got a truck to his inside. Daniel Ferguson denies him the chance to try and switch back on him. Coming off of turn 2, he's almost even boxed in.
And don't look now, but you got the 48 of Thomas Sink lurking back there in the 4th spot as well. Anything happens between our 2nd and 3rd place runners, you know Sink's going to be right there to capitalize.
Also, progress report on Bradley Holly. He's up to 14th already. He is charging.
Not only that, you saw it flash up on the screen there. He set the fastest lap. Sometimes when those drivers get angry, they can find another gear, and I think that this might be the case with Bradley. He is driving like a man possessed right now.
As has been said of Alex Rossi, he doesn't get angry, he gets fast. So Bradley Holly coming back already to 12th. There he is on screen, riding low now, just underneath Patrick Cowgill. Next on his list is going to be Dalton Geyer in the 36. Almost thinks about 3 wide. It's a big squeeze there. He holds back as the 31 edges back in front of him.
You know what? I think that's the most emotion Brad's shown on camera all day.
We also got side by side for 3rd, but let's hang here. There's a lot of trucks in play, and this could so easily go awry on Bradley Holly. The last thing he needs right now is another poor finish.
Looks like he was, he isn't considered it. He is going to try to thread the needle there through the middle.
And I think he's at least got it settled out a little bit more. The 184 now ahead of his teammate, the 17. Cowgill in front of him, but for how much longer? Ducking down low makes it look easy. Absolutely blasts past the number 31. How about Adam Young? You talked about it earlier in the way that he has climbed up the field from 25th position. Got a little loose, though. Has to check up. That's going to lose him a number of spots as all 3, Shane, Richter, or no, excuse me, that wasn't Young. That was Medina who got loose and fell backwards there. So Young up into 7th place.
Looks like we have a attempt at a pass for 3rd now, as the 48 of Thomas Sink gets underneath Ferguson, and Ferguson's trying to look to the outside of Conquer for 2nd. And in the meantime, the 57 of Adam Zemke is looking for somewhere to go as well. This top group is far from settled right now, Joe.
Ferguson once again underneath Conquer They're going to come across the line almost in a dead heat here. This is behind Abner Acosta. We've been waiting for the 5 to get a win on the broadcast for a while here on the Oval Series. Conker still riding that high side above the 676. He drifts back. He can't hang.
Ooh, and the 48 of Sink gives Ferguson a bit of a shot as they head off back into turn number 3 now. Ferguson going to try to keep it wound up on the high side, get a run down the straightaway, possibly set something up for turn 1, but isn't able to get close enough right now.
Zemke's up to P5 now. I wonder if Adam Zemke is a bit of a dark horse here that could make a wild play at the end as they once again split top and bottom between that front group. Holly, by the way, already into the top 10. He's 9th.
Honestly, Joe, the whole back half of the top 10 could really be a wild card in the finish of this race. I mean, could you imagine if we got a yellow flag here anytime in the next couple laps? I mean, the whole complexion of this race is really just 1 or 2 turns of luck away from completely changing what it is right now.
This is once again on board with Bradley Holly, trying to do what he can to make up spaces. You know, if we had a caution, though, they're so tightly packed together, I don't think it would really do much amongst our leaders. They wouldn't really gain a whole lot of time.
You also have to think there's probably a decent amount of the leaders keeping everybody so close to them because of the fact they're racing each other so hard right now. None of them are able to break away from the rest of the pack.
10 laps to go. Acosta, who has been leading since the first pit stops, somewhat helped by a penalty for his rival Bradley Holly, has not been interested in giving up the lead. He's had some fights with Josh Conker here. Conker's still holding on to the back of him as we ride on board with Abner. Looking at that 54. You can also see the side-by-side for third between Ferguson and Sink.
I mean, the laps are definitely winding down, Joe, but I think this race is far from settled as Thomas Sink now works to the inside. Looks like he'll be clear of the 676 as they go down the back straight.
I gotta think that the tensions are probably mounting inside the cockpit of the number 5. Wanting this victory, knowing this could help him immensely in the championship. 8 laps to go now. Conker still follows. Sink dropping back slightly. Daniel Ferguson's behind him in P4. Zemke still in 5th. Holly is now up to P7. Let's see, what has his laps been looking like compared to the leaders? 32.1, 32.2, 32.2 with Acosta. 32 flat, 32.1, 32.1. So Acosta is actually running slightly quicker than Holly, but then that doesn't take into account that Holly's in traffic and Abner is not.
That's a very fair point. And, you know, you got to think everyone at home's got to be happy for Abner. Oh, we have something going on down in the infield grass there on the straightaway.
Trying to see, that was Colton Lane, maybe?
I just looked at the corner of my eye, Joe.
Yeah, it was the 60. Just went through the grass, like you said. Nothing too dramatic, especially this late. Oh, my goodness. Cowgill's 3 wide right now with Medina. And looks like Mike Richter back here. This is for 9th position. Oh, are we going to go 4 wide? Daniel Knight is thinking about it. I don't think this is a good idea, and he's going to back out of it. It's going to get close. Cowgill gets tipped up into Daniel Knight. Both of them into the wall and around. That's our caution with 6 to go. Big hit for Brett Adams, too, unfortunately.
Well, that's going to change things.
This is going to make it, I think, a 1 or 2 lap shootout at the end. Patrick tried to go down low, and I think Medina, he wasn't drifting too terribly high up. This is a great angle from above. I mean, what do you think, Chris? Just a racing incident?
I mean, these guys are 3 wide, and you know, it's hard to tell if the 24 really came up or the 31 went down, or they just met in the middle. But they definitely touched wheels and unfortunately sent the 31 off into the wall.
You take the high road, I'll take the low road, and in the middle we will meet and unfortunately have a caution This is Adam's perspective. He saw the smoke. It happened a long time in front of him, and then, man, just in a snap, there was a truck right in his nose.
That was a hard hit. Good thing these guys are racing virtually, because that'd be one that you'd probably limp away from as leaders heading down pit road.
Ooh, and a split strategy. Acosta in, Conquer in, Ferguson, Westerfield, Holly. But it looks like Sink and Zemke are going to risk it. Medina stays out. Now, Medina was involved in that incident, but I didn't see how much damage he got. I think he may have come away from it.
Yeah, it looked like Medina and Cowgill hit pretty square, so I don't think he would have taken on too much damage, but it definitely could play a factor.
Kalen Hunter, Stacy Hunter, I should clarify, and Brennan Chatley also stay out. So does Colton Lane. Acosta's the first out. He is in 8th. He is going to have much fresher tires than those trucks in front of him. But if we only have a single lap on that restart, passing 8 cars in a single lap, Chris, what do you think?
I think, unfortunately, that winless streak's probably going to continue on for Abner Acosta.
Let's see. If we get lights out this time by, it'll be a 2-lap shootout, and then we could get an actual green-white checkers here at the end. But if it restarts with 1 to go, that will be the final lap no matter what, and there will be no more cautions. Watching to see what that truck does as it crosses the line. And the lights stay on. It is indeed going to be a single lap run, a sprint to the finish.
Well, this could not have worked out better for Thomas Sink and Adam Zemke.
So here we go. These are the starting positions for our 7 that did not pit. 9th, 22nd, 19th, 13th, 24th, 11th, and 27th. A single car that started within the top 10 here. Whoever gets it, this is likely to look like a stolen race with an impressive call.
It's definitely been turned into a thinking man's kind of race, Joe. Strategy calls are definitely going to be what maybe doesn't settle this one, but it's going to play a huge factor in how this one comes down.
Certainly. Will Acosta wind up kicking himself, or will he somehow manage to navigate the slalom of 7 trucks in front of him in the matter of a lap? Or maybe he might get lucky and get a wreck that he can avoid. I mean, these are going to be very old tires on this restart. I think about 28 laps old for everybody. As they cross the line, lights go out. Here we go. A 1-lap shootout for round 5 in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series.
It's what we all love about this sport, Joe. Anything can happen, and it usually does.
But we're still seeing, oh no, we're getting a green-white checkers. Interesting. So this is not going to be a 1-lap shootout. So they're going to go for the full 2 laps. But if they get a caution on the first restart lap, that means that they will enter the caution, as I do believe they have only one. Yes, only one try at the green-white checkers. So apologies for the misinformation there. Well, that gives hope to Acosta. 1 more lap to try and take this one home. It must have been close enough that the stewards the iRacing stewards decided that merits a full green-white checkers instead of a just 1-lap run here. There goes the pace truck. Sink has control. He's waiting on it, and now he goes. It's a pretty good start. Those behind him clearly struggling to get going. Zemke especially. He's being pushed by Mark Kalin across the line, and look at them behind, weaving and dodging, trying to find open track so that they can get through.
And how about Brendan Chatley up to the 5th position on that restart, Joe? A
Here
great
comes
rebound for him.
Oh, Acosta's going to split the middle. He's going to go for it, and that's going to get him into third. They're wrecking, though. He starts to spin. Can they catch it? Can they keep it green? A little bump. They're going to keep it green. And Sink gets a breath of life in his hopes for a victory, as that was Acosta, who lost a ton of time. We're going all the way to the finish. Zemke is the only one that looks like he can challenge him. The number 57 riding right on the bumper. Both of them on incredible cold tires, but behind them they've also got the likes of Bradley Holly, who just moved in to the third position, as Adam Zemke still trails behind the 48 of Thomas Sink, and down to the line the checkers are going to go to Thomas Sink. Victory in overtime for the number 48. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Abner Acosta once again cost a chance at what looked like an incredible win that could have been his, but Thomas Sink remained cool. He stuck with his call, and he is going to take the win. I think we have a replay of that save from Acosta, and I want to say it was Conker as well, who got all sorts of sideways.
Yeah, definitely by all rights, this should have been another spin. But somehow everyone was able to keep it pointed straight.
I think we need to go farther back here. That looked like the very end of the race. And this happened on the restart lap here. Here we go. This will be, yeah, let's watch the whole restart. This will be great. There's Acosta, and he was making pretty quick inroads here. I don't blame him for making it 3 wide, Chris. If I was in his position, I wouldn't lift either.
Yeah, I definitely think, I mean, the gap was there. It wasn't very big, but it was there. And if you don't go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver.
And it was 2 separate incidents, it looked like, that both of them saved the trucks on. Unbelievable stuff, and that's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Sink hitting some celebratory hits from his friends for that victory. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. That was an incredible finish. After a race that went plenty green for much of it, a few cautions were timed almost perfectly at the end to give us a stunner, and Thomas Sink the opportunity to take a win by staying out in that last caution. Adam Zemke finished second behind them, barely a tenth and a half back, with Bradley Hawley charging forward on fresh tires, but didn't have enough. Still, he claimed a podium. Mark Kalin was P4, and Abner Acosta, who we thought was the most likely to come through and snatch the win, had to settle for a top 5. Jose Medina was 6th, with Doug Evans in 7th. Chatley continues his top 10 streak with an 8th, and Stacy Hunter finishes 9th. Colton Lane takes a 10th position.
Just outside of the top 10 was Josh Conker, followed by Adam Young with a pretty solid finish for him, with Mike Richter 13th. Dalton Geyer had a quiet day to come home 14th over Jim Westerfield. Then Austin Hunter, recovering from back surgery, ended up coming home 16th, solid day for him. Nicholas Schwartz 17th, a quiet day for Baron Hilton in 18th. Matthew Kulhanek 19th, and unfortunately Daniel Ferguson settling for 20th after running towards the front most of the race.
Last car on the lead lap was Adam Shane, and then from there on down, you essentially have your DNFs: Cowgill, Adams, Knight, White, Nick Hunter, Charles Sumner, Adams, and Bajin, many of them coming very late in the race. And our winner joining us now, Thomas Sink, with an almost surprise victory, though you were up towards the front for much of the race. How did you feel about that strategy call at the end when you saw how many trucks came into the pits? Did you feel confident all the way up to the green flag, or were you getting nervous?
Super nervous. When I saw everyone go in, I was like, oh man, I'm going to be like 10th place coming here, and I don't have much of a shot. They're just going to go. And I think Colton's like, hey man, you're going to be okay. There's like 7 cars staying out. So I was super nervous, very stressed.
The race really changed complexion between the first half and the back half. We had such a long run at the first half under green without a caution. And then suddenly at the end, it was all broken up. What did you learn from the tires on that first half that helped you in the second half?
Just the save. It's all about the tires, and I know they've updated the tire model and the way the cars handle as far as the draft and what line's better, and trying not to get behind another truck. But the idea going into this was to save as much tire as possible. So ultimately, I was just lifting, going into the corner, letting it rotate, and getting real easy onto the throttle. And I think that was what made the big difference there.
What a difference it did make. And this makes you the 4th different winner out of 5 rounds, and will certainly boost you up in the championship order. Can you keep this up when we head to Darlington?
I can only hope so. Yeah, my goal this season was just to, make the chase more or less, and now this should definitely help that.
Well, it was an exciting finish. We were out of our seats for that one, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you, guys. I'd like to thank Muscle Farm and Whataback and Brad and all the guys in Whataback that helped me there at the end. Then thank you guys for broadcast and PRL for putting on such an amazing race.
That was Thomas Sink, our winner. And then Chris is caught up with Adam Zemke, who did a stunning job going from 22nd to 2nd.
Well, first off, Adam, where did you come from? We looked up, and all of a sudden you're right up there in the mix after starting so far back in the field.
I think a little luck came into effect there. I'd gotten up into like the top 10. I think we had that green flag run for a long time, and like Tom was just saying, I think tire saving is pretty important, and I think I did an all right job of that. But then I think that caution come out. I think some of the fast guys got a speeding penalty or something in that situation, and I was pretty surprised to be up in 4th, and just tried to make the best of it, tried not to make any real mistakes or anything like that.
All right, now you were able to get pretty close to Thomas there towards the end. Did you think you had anything for him, or were you just pretty much happy to be where you ended up?
I'm definitely happy to be where I'm at. I thought I was going to get him, though. I had a really bad restart. He took off. I'm pretty bad at starting in 2nd place. It's kind of a sucker hole, and I'm not real great at it. And I pulled up to him, though, in 3 and 4, and I'm like, oh, man, do I got better tires than him? But I think he was kind of saving a little bit there, maybe just not pushing so hard to make sure his car didn't get loose or anything like that, because then I was full throttle the rest of the way, and I just couldn't get past him.
Now we got Darlington coming up next. You think you can carry this momentum up as we head there?
I sure hope so. That's a pretty tricky track, though, just in that, anything can happen. And Darlington race can go real bad real quick. As long as everybody kind of keeps calm, and those are usually some of our longer races too, and just keep endurance in mind. I think I can get a good finish there.
All right, Adam. Anybody you want to thank to help make today possible for you?
Of course, I'd like to thank PRL, GSRC, NinjaTrader, SimMSA, everybody that makes this these events possible, and all the fans who are watching. Thanks to everybody.
All right, that was Adam Zemke, our runner-up finisher today. And Joe, I believe you're catching up with Bradley Holly.
Absolutely. And Brad managing to avoid that wreck on that last restart, or near wreck, I should say. Brad, have you ever considered taking up cross-stitch? That was a pretty good threading of the needle.
No kidding. I had a feeling there was going to be some contact, and I just said, you know what? With everything that happened on that first caution going into pits, I just wasn't going to lift, and whatever happened. And thankfully, Josh got it gathered up before he wiggled up into my quarter panel.
Now, before that happened, looked like you had some frustration. What was the penalty that you received that sent you to the back? Because we were trying to suss that out.
It was a speeding penalty. So what happened was, we're going in, and Elliot hit me twice, and it kept my speed. I was down to 45 when I hit the line, and he hit me twice and put me over 50, and basically forced me to get a speeding penalty.
Ooh, well, we saw you get pretty hot at the Richmond Cup race. Was it pretty steamy in the cockpit after that as well?
I know he didn't mean to do that. So I mean, yeah, I was frustrated, but at the same time, we had 30 laps to go, and I had to focus on getting through the field. I mean, when I was going through there, I don't think I blinked. I was so focused just to try to get as much track position as possible. And that last caution came out, and I was like, all right, I gotta make something happen.
Well, it's still a podium, and that is another one of your good finishes that will keep you in the hunt in the championship. Who helped make this one happen?
The Waterback guys. We practiced and talked and tried to figure out what the best thing to do was, and we were pretty confident tonight on our abilities and where we were going to run, and we made it happen.
That you did. It was an impressive charge back to a podium, and that was third place, Bradley Holly. Up next, I believe Chris is caught up with Mark Kalin in the 62, taking a fourth place.
Well, Mark, an adventurous day for you here today. Ends up with a pretty solid finish, but you had it all. You got into the wall at one point, and pretty much an adventure for you. So tell us about your race.
Yeah, kind of disappointed in qualifying. Kind of got started back there in 13th, and then just pushed a little too hard early on and caused me to wear my stuff out to where I was wrecking loose and eventually caught the wall a couple times. And so I took a chance, pit early, tried to make up some time there. Got lucky with the caution, was able to get the damage fixed, and then I just at no point during this race was I saving tires. So I was constantly wrecking loose. But the way that last caution came out, I said, this is my best chance at trying to get a good finish. And, I went for it. I never lifted. I thought I was going to wreck Brad on that first turn. Or was it turn 3? I think I thought I was going to wreck Brad when he was coming around me, and but I still never lifted, and just kind of hope for the best. I thought Abner was gonna turn me a little bit because I was not giving him room. I was trying not to give him a lane in the middle, but I couldn't tell how far Jose was down from me. But yeah, it was hairy, it was fun, and I was terrified.
All right. Well, thankfully you made it through all right. Came home with a solid finish, Mark. Congratulations on a great run.
Thank you guys, and you guys do an awesome job on the
broadcasting booth week in and week out. So I just want to say thank you all to y'all.
That was Mark Kalin, who grabbed himself a nice top 5 stat today. And that's going to close us out with a big thank you to our sponsors. Of course, starting off with Simulation Motorsports Affinity. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And of course, NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. And finally, ButtKicker. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com to feel what you've been missing. Also, we want to give a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Chris, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store as well at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Got a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race, as we mentioned, is at Darlington, the track Too Tough to Tame. That'll be Wednesday, May 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.